My time is almost through, little left to do. After all I tried for 3 years, seems like 30. Could you ask as much from any other man? Hi guys, Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's it going? Happy post Ides of March, the time where we are 3 months into 2021, and all of a sudden the new year is not looking as new as it was before. But we're starting to see some similarities. We're starting to see some similarities. We're starting to see some conventional wisdom, some social norms. We're starting to see what we seers have always seen. If you knew what I knew, poor Jerusalem. Believe me, guys, you'd only close your eyes. You'd only close your eyes. In your lives, your troubles will be many. Acceptance is causing them. To conquer death, you only have to die. You only have to die. Poor Jerusalem. No justice, no peace. Forgive us our debts. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. Advocates of divine command theory, that justice and morality is the authoritative command of God. Murder is wrong and must be punished, for instance, because of God says so. Some versions of the theory assert that God must be obeyed because of the nature of his relationships, of humanity. Others assert that God must be obeyed because he is goodness itself, and thus doing what he says would be best for everyone. And yet, no matter what we believe, our ideologies, we can all come to the conclusion that the truth is it is March 16th, 2021. And we've had a year already. And last year, did we deserve to have a poisonous cup of financial insecurity, job instability, uh, a battle with an enemy foreign that we did not know how to fight, that was not detectable? Before Jesus Christ was betrayed and he sent to die on the cross, an innocent, inconvenient bystander in the game of political influence and religious zealotry. He was in a garden through all of the ugliness, narcissism, and superficial observations from human insecurity. The man who some people believe was God chose a place of beauty and serenity in the midst of his own misguided betrayers. I can relate to him. No devastating betrayal that rendered my conscious mind irreparably damaged ever occurred from one of my enemies. No, never. They would never get close enough. Always the friends. The people you trust, they are the ones that get close enough to stab you in the back to make it so much more devastating. And Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over, pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee. I know they sound country. And along with him, and he began to appear sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Can you keep watch with me?" As they were keeping watch, Peter fell asleep. and he wasn't very entertained, Peter. Peter was very emotionally, passionately. He had a lot of opinions. Peter did. He had ideologies. He was a two-party kind of guy. He liked to make common sense. He liked to win arguments. He'd like to do conventional wisdom and social norms. In a moment of his most precious friend needing probably the only time he actually needed Peter, needed him. That one time was the time that Peter decided to fall asleep. And he probably didn't even know what the big deal was. He didn't know it was going to happen. He wasn't seeing. He wasn't using his eyes. He was using his nature and not his eyes. And so without you using your eyes, you don't see the things that are transparent in nature. Like the garden in Eden, and the garden in Gethsemane. You don't see all of what happened before you saw the garden. You don't see, you see the plants. You see what's happened now. But you don't see the soil, which caused it to give the nutrients to grow. You don't see the water, which fed it and strengthened it, caused it to photosynthesize towards light, and the light expanding and blossoming, and that's that plant. You don't see the health. You don't see the good times. You don't see the bad times too. All you see is the plant. All you see is the social profile of the Gethsemane garden. And we're looking at the social profile of the garden. Peter fell asleep. It was boring. It was just conventional, you know? What else do you expect as a garden? You're going to see plants, right? But people that see not only in the past, but in the present and in the future, always looking at all things because all of things correlate and all things relate in some way, like us. Jesus couldn't stay. He couldn't sleep. He knew what was going to happen in the future. He was in the present, and he was probably pondering on the past and wondering how in the world he had a friend like Peter who fell asleep on him. But in any case, the true and eternal, pure, fundamental attributes of the entire universe were in that garden. And they were reminding me of what we're lacking in this social construct and what we had as a republic in 1776, but we lost to Benjamin Franklin's already beknownst intellectualism. He already knew we were going to lose one. Oopsie, we lost it. Somewhere in the Industrial Revolution, we gave international corporations all of our rights and freedoms, and then we let them rule over us. Before that, guys, before anything, there was God, of course. I guess if you say that, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. That's what the Bible says. Or there was nothing, but anyway, the first people, they had to have communication, and they had to have a personal human connection. So we didn't have conventional wisdoms and social norms and lies and propaganda. We didn't have a public persona and a private persona. They had things called the transcendentals, which are truth, love, and justice. Justice, guys. Justice. Just us. Justice, guys. It is the balance. It is the karma of the universe. And love is what brings us together. And truth is what keeps us from being insane. And that is the key of all health and nutrients. That strengthen human relationships and our mental health. Truth, love, and justice. These three perceptual experiences are the most radiant and purest tools, instruments used to shape, form, and finish the very fabric of social human relationships. and mental psyche. They are the air, the sun. They are the soil of our civilization. Now, Peter fell asleep. He saw nothing. He didn't see those things. And so to him, I mean, there wasn't a profile. Was there a boost button? Was there a like? Was there a share? Was there a subscribe? Well, then how could you see it? Wow. How can you see justice? How can you see love? But there is fruit, and there is evidence of it. So, with the interpretation of what then constitutes deserving, being impacted upon by numerous fields of many different viewpoints and concepts and moral correctness and cancel culture and the social norms and the conventional wisdom and the presidential seal of approval and the National Economic Council and the near attendant management of the Budget Committee. I just would rather understand conservatives in this one way. I understand that life would actually be less complicated and definitely more desirable if we just had a Father who art in heaven, who had his will done here on earth as it is in heaven, because in this situation of the two choices, there is one that's infinitely more desirable than the situation that occurs now, which is the 1%, the elites owning all the wealth, and we are sharecroppers in a free country who are only resigned to make their labor, to drive their children to school, to fight in their wars, do their security in their gates, to moonlight at their basketball games, and we then disappear. We should, because we're poor. We might have diseases. We might have COVID. We should disappear immediately. And we're not important. We have no purpose other than to serve them. Going back to 1776 when King George was president. I mean, the same mentality occurred with him. There's a difference to have a ruler who puts himself above all else because of his bloodline, and he had no respect for any of his people. He thought they were all lower than him. But then you have someone who literally spent the last of his days with his people in a garden. Think about that. And think about how you can be a leader and you can still care about the people that follow you. You can be someone who is not a self-absorbed, overwhelmingly gluttonous, afflicted, scornful shark, a barbarian. You don't have to be a ruthless asshole. But it's hard, guys, to actually tell people this because I understand. Our entire society screams asshole. Where's your branding? Where's your marketing? Where's your mass distributive plan? Where's your conventional wisdom and social norms? Where's your propaganda? Where's your mainstream media talking points? Where are your stats, your articles, and your credentials? Will you come with truth, love, and justice? I don't think so. But she warned him not to be deceived, for beauty was found within. And when he dismissed her again, the old woman's ugliness was melted away to reveal a beautiful enchantress. The prince tried to apologize, but it was too late, for she had seen there was no love in his heart. His punishment, to be transformed into a hideous beast, and to be kidnapped, and to be bankrolled in the castle, until one day he would learn to love. That's a true story, guys. It's going on in Wall Street. It's going on at the banks, military-industrial complex. The only problem is we've enabled evil with our lesser is two evils mentality and our acceptance of a mundane, routine existence. Our surrender of our God-given purpose and inalienable rights. We literally let two evils run rampant. And with our obvious decision Evil is now ruling us. It's a very bad decision, guys. So, two parties are not everything. They are nothing. They are merely a reflection of our will. And our will was a surrendering of our rights, freedoms, liberties, and our purpose. It's been a sad road. But like in the Bible, like any story, like any story with a human being, we have a chance to grow and learn. We have a chance to correct our mistakes. Or we have a chance to meet the ultimate consequences of our actions. It's your choice. And that is one of those things that, in the likeness of our divine creator, we have free will. And that is an important part of who we are. It's not a bandwagon mentality. It's free thinking, open-minded, totally innovative. Domination Politics.